Typical Beamer driver in a fucking Beamer. Fucking bellend. Well, hello everyone. On my way back from work. Had an easy day today. Been given some leave this afternoon, so I hope you're all keeping well. Hello new subscribers. Right. I ain't had a good old rant for a while. Because there's not really been an opportunity to do so. However, you can always rely on a certain few folk, and at the moment one of those folk is King Prick himself, fucking Lewis Hamilton. I was never a fan of his to start with. Not really. He's British and I like him to win for Britain, but he's a bellend. He's an absolute fucking bellend. What a virtue signalling twat. Ever since that Christmas where he was caught on video saying boys don't wear dresses, which they don't, let's be honest, he's turned into a right piece of cook meat. And now this Black Lives Matter bollocks, he's wagging his finger at every fucker that don't go down and bend the knee for it. It's like, fuck off, Hamilton. And what was it, a couple of old Formula 1 drivers said he's being too militant and he's seeing things that aren't really there, and I wholeheartedly agree. Where's the fucking racism in Formula 1? The world champion's a black man, well, half caste because his mum were white, so come on. He says, I've been oppressed all these years in Formula 1. No you weren't. No you weren't. You got everything handed to you on a silver plate. One of the guys I work with in anaesthetists, his son is karting and will probably end up in Formula 1. He's that good, and I'm not just saying that, he will. It costs a lot of money. It costs parents a lot of money. So he weren't to press there, would he? And I would argue that if someone who got the same amount of talent as Lewis but was white, you know, that horrible race where it was responsible for everything that's gone wrong ever, he might not be world champion today. Because if he'd have been white and there was a Lewis Hamilton waiting in the wings and they said, oh, we can only take one driver on this year, which one do you think it'd be? I'll tell you which one it'd be, and we all know which one it'd be. It'd be the person of colour. Now, discrimination goes both ways, and I think Lewis Hamilton's not looking at the bigger picture, and I think the bigger picture is he's calling everybody racists and saying everybody's racist and it's a racist country and this, that and the other. It isn't. Britain's one of the most welcoming, warming countries ever. But this is the man who drives for Mercedes. And Mercedes did an awful lot for Hitler and his fucking friends in World War II. But you'll not say out about Hitler, will you? You'll not say out about Mercedes, will you? Even though the history of Mercedes is checkered at best. You'll not say, oh, I mean, you got the entire team to change the colour of the car, so you're clearly oppressed that way, aren't you, Lewis? If you can get the entire McLaren Mercedes team to change the colour of the car and bend to your every whim. You know what, Lewis? I'll be glad when you retire, because I am fucking sick to fucking death of hearing your virtue signal and hearing you saying there's a problem when there isn't. I am sick to fucking death of it. And thankfully now there's a few people calling it out, because there's no fucking racism in Formula 1. Yeah, there are racists in the world and they're wankers, let's be honest. If you hate someone or discriminate against someone for something that they can't help, i.e. how they were born, you're a bit of a cunt. In fact, no, hang on, you're a lot of a cunt. But on the other hand, if you say there's a problem and you've experienced racism in Formula 1, when I I'm just going to press X to doubt on that. I don't believe a fucking word of it, Lewis Hamilton. You probably got pushed to the centre of the fucking queue because you're black. You're an absolute cock. And I wonder if he's ever looked up the history of the Black Panther movement. I bet he hasn't. I bet he hasn't. I bet he just thinks it's good to stand there like this and look at me, I'm black with my fist in the air. Yeah, you're a fucking terrorist if you follow the fucking Black Panthers. Black Lives Matter are a Marxist ideology that just hides behind a clever name like Black Lives Matter. They don't give a fuck. 2 weeks ago in Chicago, over 80 black youths or men were killed by other black men in Chicago. Where were Black Lives Matter? Black lives only matter when a white person's being a cunt. But black people, you are more likely to be shot by a black policeman in America if you are black than a white officer. Okay, so that's something to think about. Also, you're more likely to be shot in America when dealing with the police if you're white, because the fucking world's terrified of fucking black people at the moment, because everyone's jumped on this anti-racist bandwagon. I mean, you wouldn't have to see I'm not calling them protests, I refuse. They were fucking riots for George Floyd or whatever his fucking name were. He were a cunt, he were a bad bastard, he didn't deserve to die, but he were a bad un. But you just can't stick your fucking heart on a flag and say, right, everything's racist, because it's not, Lewis. It's not. This country isn't. Yeah, there are people in it that are racist, but they come in all shapes and colours, mate. And all this pointing the finger at the white man saying he's to blame for everything, well, I think that's a little bit racist. It's easy to jump on the moral high ground when you're a millionaire and you can say whatever you fucking like, because you know that you can always turn around and say, well, don't fire me, if you do I'll blame it on you saying I'm black. You can't have your cake and eat it too, Lewis. People have got to start calling out you idiots for this shit, because at the end of the day, whatever you say to me is totally irrelevant. And wagging your finger at your fellow professionals because they won't do exactly as you tell them, you're a bit of a fascist, aren't you? And it's when somebody says something you don't agree with, Hamilton, they need to educate themselves. What are you saying? They're thick, Lewis? You're saying they ain't got a brain, that they can't work things out for themselves without you fucking pointing the finger and telling people? You make me sick, Lewis Hamilton. And the end of your career can't come soon enough for me. I used to cheer you on because you were British, but now that you hate Britain and you think everything's fucking racist, you can go fucking do one. I have no interest in anything you do. Come on, Max Verstappen, beat the fucker. Anyway, like, share and subscribe. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.